In Texas, there was a Lone Star showdown last night in a Senate race that's gotten much closer than expected in deep red Texas. Democratic challenger Colin Allred went toe-to-toe with Republican incumbent Ted Cruz for their only debate. And each of them were trying to paint the other as extreme. Take a listen to some of the highlights.
You can't be for the mob on January 6th and for the officers. You can't. And it's not funny because you're a threat to democracy.
Sure.
I was on the House floor when we went through the votes. I remember when you objected to the results.
Every single time there's a serious measure in the House to secure the border, Colin Allred votes no. Look, it's a pattern we've seen actually at the presidential level because it's what Kamala Harris does as well.
He's never there for us when we need him. When the lights went out in the energy capital of the world, he went to Cancun.
Joining us now to discuss this and more, Maura Gillespie, former advisor to Republican Speaker of the House John Boehner, and Julie Roginski, Democratic strategist and co-founder of Lift Our Voices. Ladies, it's good to have you here. Let's start with what we just heard in that Senate debate there in Texas. And Maura, you know, we heard a lot of the same issues come up that we're hearing as we're talking about the presidential race. What were your top takeaways?
My top takeaway was that the issues that they're focusing on is something that you're seeing across the board, right? Republicans and Democrats and the fringes have really gone too far on different issues. And what you're seeing now is they realize they went too far and they're trying to go back towards the middle where the rest of the country is. So you have, Ted Cruz talking about the border, trying to hit Colin Allred on that, saying, you didn't do anything. And now you're saying that we need a stronger border. And vice versa, you're hearing Colin Allred go after him about January 6th and his support for Donald Trump and trying to compare that to you're not, both of them calling each other extreme, trying to remind the voters that what the voters really want is somebody in the middle.
Julie, Texas hasn't elected a Democrat for president since Jimmy Carter. They haven't elected a Democratic senator since the 90s. Is Colin Allred doing what he needs to do to change that?
Well, Texas also has never had the kind of federal abortion ban that Donald Trump effectively instituted, in the sense that it allowed the federal government to get out of this business and allow places like Texas to institute something that is literally costing women's lives. And so based on that alone, there are plenty of Republican women who have the opportunity to come over on this issue. They may not want to vote for Kamala Harris, but they certainly don't want to vote for Ted Cruz, who's not endeared himself to the people of Texas. And as you see, his numbers never really matched anything that Donald Trump has in polling. And so, look, I don't know that demographically Texas is yet caught up on the presidential level. I don't know demographically whether it's caught up even on the Senate level, but it could be this year because you've got the confluence of the abortion ban, Ted Cruz, and just a growing sense of people of color growing in power and population in Texas. And I think based on all of that alone, there's an outside chance that Texas could go Democratic this year.
Maura, we heard Ted Cruz kind of lean into the culture war issues in particular. Let's listen.
Congressman Allred joined 100 radical Democrats in demanding that our military allow drag shows on military bases, pay for soldiers to have sex changes using taxpayer money, and pay for children to be sterilized and have sex changes on military bases.
When Ted Cruz starts talking about team sports, you got to watch out because the only position he ever played was left out. And I'm not trying to be mean, Senator, but sit this one out, please. Listen, I don't support boys playing girls' sports. I don't.
Why'd you vote for it?
No, stop. Let me speak.
More in a political environment where inflation, abortion, cost of living are top issues for a lot of voters. Were these smart attacks?
It's what Republicans, and you're seeing it because it comes from the top down. So Donald Trump has obviously spent millions and millions of dollars on these ads pointing out the Kamala Harris is for they, them, Donald Trump is for you. That line of advertising is, obviously it's been effective because it's targeting fear. And we know that fear is a motivator for people to go out and vote if they feel like their livelihood or their life is threatened in some ways. I don't think that as a society it's a good message for us to be focused on when there's so many other issues at play here, like the economy, like women's rights. So I just think that it's short-sighted. But again, that's what Donald Trump is really good at, and that's what he focuses on. And in this way, I do think there is a majority or a block of voters who do worry about this issue. But if they're being targeted in this way, to be afraid of it and to be angry about it, what does it say for us? Is that's our motivating factor to get people out to vote? It's not. I worry about that long term.
Let's talk bigger picture, because Democrats have a very thin majority currently in the Senate, and they are defending a lot of seats this cycle. There's Sherrod Brown in Ohio, a state Trump carried by 8 points in 2020. There's Jon Tester in Montana, where Trump won by 20 points. So, Julie, with these uphill battles in mind, what are the chances, do you think, of the Democrats holding on to the Senate?
It's tough because the razor-thin margins that exist right now are just going to be even tougher to defend. And, of course, somebody like Jon Tester is just in a very, very, very tough state. No matter how popular he is, it's going to be very hard to go against the flow of a huge Trump tsunami that might happen in Montana. Sherrod Brown, I think, is in a much better place in the sense that he's running ahead of his, obviously, of where Trump is in Ohio, and he's somebody who's a very well-known quantity there. But, look, you also have to look at the fact that the Senate, until you get rid of the filibuster, there's not much you can do. And so if Trump becomes president, this is something people should be aware of, and there's a Republican Senate, there will be more Supreme Court justices of the kind that will abolish your rights. They will go further and further and further, whether it's birth control, whether it's other things that Clarence Thomas talked about, like marriage equality, but all of these things are at stake. And I think people need to understand that they're not just voting party this time, they're voting for their rights. And that's something that women in Ohio need to understand. Women in Montana need to understand, even women in West Virginia need to understand that this is not just about party. This is about you. And this is about the fact that if you have a Republican president in the White House and whoever Mitch McConnell's successor is in the Senate, those people will put judges on the bench that will take away your rights even more than they did the last time Donald Trump was around. And that's what's at stake in this election.